Welcome back to the Barrel Talk Podcast. This is episode 167. Joined with Nick Gwynn on the call. Back with some Marvel. Back-to-back episodes with some Marvel content. Tier list. Well, I know we did this about a year ago.
Yeah, a year or two ago, something like that.
But there's been a lot of stuff that has dropped that I feel like we need to make another one. Make a new tier list. So We have the GOATs at our top tier. Great. Tier below that. Next one would be good. Then we go to solid/mid, this middle of the pack. Then we go to big problems in the movie, but it's a fun watch. Then we go to just bad. And then we have a special tier. How did this come out?
For the really bad ones.
For the really bad ones. Because I feel like these three bottom ones, I feel like, I guess even solid and mid, like, it could get a little bit wonky. But I feel like there's going to be certain specific things that we'll talk about with these movies that kind of separates of why they're in this a certain tier.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a bad movie and how did this come out, I think is a gap, because there could be a bad movie that had potential. But I can't say, like, I can see some of the potential of what happened. It just didn't get executed well.
Yeah.
Like, once we start putting movies down in the tiers, I feel like people will also start to agree.
Yeah.
Or disagree.
It'll start to come out.
Comments. Because this could be a controversial thing. I know tier list.
Yeah. I think we both have a few opinions that are like maybe Marvel Defenders will kind of be looked at.
Right. So we can get right into it. They're all pretty much in timeline order. So first, Captain America. Looking back on it, been so long now. What are we thinking?
I'm thinking either good / to solid/mid. Been a while since I've seen this movie, but this is the start of obviously this is the first movie in the timeline. Not the first movie to come out, but it establishes the Cap and Bucky narrative that we are still seeing today.
Mm-hmm.
Red Skull, who eventually comes back, I think he's a pretty good villain, especially for the start, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Going into this, I feel like we'll put movies in certain tiers, but we'll go back and kind of change some things.
For sure.
So I'm going to go ahead and put it in good. I think it's a solid origin story. I think Chris Evans is obviously amazing. I mean, if you were to tell Chris Evans, you're playing Captain America, and you told him at the end of end of Endgame of how far it went and how beloved the character he is, I think it has to come back to this one, especially when you're talking about the Captain America just trilogy in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's honestly up there in just terms of best movie trilogies ever, not even your genre. So, and especially with how Winter Soldier and Civil War is.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking back, it's kind of like a timepiece too, because it's obviously mostly in the 40s. So like you had like the old school villains, like the old school guns and everything, like how they had it. It was pretty cool. I think we're right. I think it goes in good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty good, especially for the first one.
Right. Captain Marvel. Man. I'm leaning bad.
Yeah, me too.
Because this also isn't a fun watch. It has big problems, but it's also not a fun watch.
Yeah, there's no... it doesn't have any big moments. Like, obviously, there's a moment where she gets her powers, but, like, the villain is, like, forgettable, even though, like, it's the Kree, but, like...
The Skrulls were cool.
Where that guy was. Like, Skrulls were cool.
Skrulls were cool. I just hate this because I really like Brie Larson. I think she is a good Captain Marvel. I think she has just the look to do it. But it sucks because both of her movies that have come out have been failure of bad writing. The first one was really a failure in kind of building any stakes, because it's so hard to do a character that is as powerful to like make the stakes like not like Avengers level, I guess, if you want to say.
Right, and didn't it come out between Infinity War and Endgame?
Which was
like everyone's expecting huge, great movie, obviously.
Right. So you gotta think this also came within the run of like Civil War, Black Panther before, then you got Infinity War. So Marvel was on a crazy run. And at the time, maybe the movie I thought wasn't as bad, but going back, I could definitely see it kind of just getting lost in the shuffle. And
right.
I feel like it might be a little bit of a take. I really think that Marvel should have gone into. I understand Captain Marvel did have a part to play in the Infinity War and Endgame movies, like the post-credit and then going into Endgame. This should have been how they started the next phase. Even
Do you
if the
think
movie
they should
was
have been
better.
after Endgame?
Yes, I think this could have been an after Endgame level kind of thing. To where,
Do you
like,
think she still would have been in Endgame?
maybe. It's just weird because I feel like she's such a powerful character to where, like, this could be one of your main cast of heroes going into this next phase. You could have still had her in Endgame, but her origin probably should have came after into the next phase.
Right.
But it's going to be
That
tough.
we just don't know about it because obviously it happened back in, I don't remember like what the years were, but it happened back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that would work, but I feel like it probably wouldn't have been too hard. Yeah, I don't know.
Came out. I feel like this and Black Widow kind of both came out at such a weird time due to different circumstances. I just feel like where this was placed at and the run Marvel was on was just kind of a little bit of a disservice to this movie with how big of movies were going on at that time.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
I would
completely
say
agree.
it just the writing I feel like could have been better. It's hard to make stakes with a character like Captain Marvel, and the villains are forgettable. I gotta go bad.
Yeah.
Even though I do like Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, even though that's a very hot take in the community. Iron Man.
2008. We going like do we go GOAT tier or grit? Goes in one of those.
I think this is a classic.
It is a classic. I think I watched Iron Man 1 like it's probably like the top 3 movies I watched the most out of the Marvel movies.
We're gonna go great. But I wouldn't be shocked if we look at the great tier and we're like, okay, maybe Iron Man
right.
go good.
Yeah, I just don't know how reserved we're feeling for the GOATs right now.
Right.
But it's for sure great. Like obviously, origin story of the best character in the MCU. Like Obadiah Stane.
Then
My boy in the cave. Come on now.
Then we're going to Iron Man 2, which I'm lower on than the first.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd put it in solid to mid. That's just me, though.
I'd still go good, personally. I'm okay with it being solid to mid, because I know, like, the villain was not good. I still think it just has, like, the vibes of an Iron Man movie, and those are just good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's, obviously still RDJ does a great job, and I think Don Cheadle does a great job. But I can definitely see it going solid to mid, because the villain was, like, not shit.
Right now. Then we got the Incredible Hulk. This I feel like is perfect for big problems.
But that's okay. That's what I was thinking too. Like this is kind of like where it goes. This kind of fits and like a fun to watch.
I think this is the best version, other than Red Hulk and Brave New World, in my opinion, which I said on the last pod. This is like the best. This is what the version of the Hulk people really did want to see in terms of like the rest of the story in the MCU, even though it was played by somebody not Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like, the movie's aging. Yeah, the movie's aging well because we're never gonna get to see. We're not seeing another version of the Hulk that people want.
Yeah.
So this, I feel like if you would have asked a few years ago, we would have maybe said bad, but because we don't ever get to see like another Hulk like that. It is fun to watch every once in a while. Definitely has
where there are
some problems. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Going on to Thor.
God, Thor 1.
This is where I think Thor movies are so interesting. I would go solid to mid because I don't think it's on the level of Cap 1 and Iron Man 1/2. I think it's just a little bit below.
Yeah, I think I agree. I there's a lot of like parts of that movie I just don't really care for, or like that are again just forgettable. Like the Destroyer's part of like being the villain of that movie. Jane Foster, that's going to be a theme throughout this whole thing. Don't like her.
They kind of had to change kind of some of the writing, I feel like, because once you get to Thor Ragnarok, I feel like there was just new life built into this character.
For sure.
Where I feel like they kind of had to be like, Chris Hemsworth, we're just going to let you cook with this character because we're in a tough spot with you because of the first one kind of being solid to mid, and then Dark World obviously kind of just being bad as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel
I
like they
mean,
had to change up a little bit of the character.
right. I mean, and this one was obviously the most true to being like an Asgardian, like out otherworldly movie, which again, like they're almost not a timepiece, but like we're doing an Asgardian, otherworldly Greek mythology or Norse mythology movie. Like it didn't actually like fit that theme, which
Right.
I think now when we get to Ragnarok, Thor's no longer like that. They don't really fit the theme movies anymore. They're like Marvel movies, but yeah, that's why I think it's still good enough to be like a solid mid because I still think it fit that theme well, and it was like a pretty good start. And then we get the whole mystery with Loki getting left, and then he's the Avengers villain.
Then Dark World, which
Is this?
I'm just gonna go bad.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go bad. There's just nothing from this movie to really go back to. But I can't say it's how did this come out because it had pivotal moments of Thor's mom dying, Loki's death that got resolved later down the line, but those two things happened in this movie. And you entered like Thor in contact with an Infinity Stone. So there's some things in this movie where I'm like, I saw potential in it. Wasn't good, didn't execute, but I can't say how did this come out because I thought there was pivotal.
There are some moments. So his mom getting killed and like Loki leading her up to it. That's a moment.
Yeah.
That we remember and stuff.
So I gotta put it in bed.
Yeah, again, exactly. Not a rewatch that I do many times.
Right. Now we're on to the Avengers. Avengers 1. What are we thinking?
I'm thinking great. I think a movie that has again aged very well. Don't think it was liked as much when it first came out. First like team up movie like this. I think they banged. Like I think it was great. I think it hit. This was a movie that I watched before I watched any of the Marvel movies. And I watched a good amount, honestly, before I watched anything else. Banger.
I agree with great. I could see a lot of arguments of this being in the GOATs.
I don't think it's that high.
I don't know if I'm that high on it, but we can go back and look at it again once we're done. But Iron Man 3, which I feel like is underrated. It's kind of a full character arc for Tony Stark at this point in his kind of solo movies. But I could also just see it being solid and mid. I could see arguments for it.
I go good. I think you gotta go solid to mid. I think you gotta go solid to mid, especially because like it's definitely a drop off from Iron Man 2. I think.
I thought the Mandarin thing was also just why.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it. Like, I think that's exactly what it is.
Especially when we get the 10 rings, like later down the line in Shang-Chi.
Yeah. Then they fix it like.
And they fix it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely interesting. Now we're on to Winter Soldier.
Goat. This would be my number. I think this would still be my number one if we ranked them today.
The Winter Soldier, and I know a big gripe that a lot of people have is how you gotta watch this show and that show to watch this movie that's coming out and everything else like that. The Winter Soldier movie is something that you can just put on at any time where you know exactly what movie you're getting. And I just feel like it's legit gonna age so well. I know it's been far removed already, but I just think this movie's we're gonna look back in like 15 years and be like, it's still just a classic. They delivered on everything they wanted to do. The action was great, probably the best in the MCU. And everything just made sense in this movie. It just did. The spy thriller aspect done with, I feel like you can really only do it with a Captain America-like character. So it just, I just felt
like... I mean, yeah, especially because like he's worked, like the country that he's fought and, tried to protect, and he thought he was serving it, but really he was serving this thing the whole time, this Hydra. So like, God, it's just crazy. The villain, amazing. Bucky, obviously bring him back, and like you said, the fighting. Natasha Romanoff.
Made sense. It just all delivered, and it was
all delivered. The Nick Fury, like we talked about it last episode, the Nick Fury surprise scene when he's in the car. Amazing. Like it's just all there. It all hits.
Yes. Now we're going on to Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
I haven't watched this in a minute. Is this like is this a great or is it, no way to go, right? I'd go great.
I'd also go great. I think this was the. I don't think a movie hits on the comedy like the first Guardians to a really good level to where it makes sense. The jokes actually hit. And I think Guardians 1, and a really, really good trilogy in my opinion, really delivers. I feel like when this movie would first come out, there could have been like a lot of like, how is this going to deliver? This is kind of like a ragtag bunch. Like, how is this
I
going
think
to.
that's exactly what it was.
And it came out, and it was a very banger movie. And then you see why they were going to continue evolving them in the MCU with what all they had.
Yeah. Just all super great characters. Start of an amazing trilogy. Obviously feeds into Infinity War and everything that goes on with Thanos, and it's just great. Obviously, amazing soundtrack. It has all the great vibes. James Gunn, like all of them, just they do it. They do it. The only thing that doesn't like work. I wish the villain was a little bit better, a little bit scarier, but like, and I wish he didn't die to a dance off, lose to a dance off. But whatever. That's kind of cool. It's cool. It's iconic a little bit.
Yeah.
The dance off.
Now we got Volume 2, second in the Guardians trilogy. I'm gonna go solid to mid.
That's what I think as well. I think it's quite a fall off from the first one.
Yeah, I think the ego shit was just hard to execute with how powerful of a character he is going against just the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it's such a Yondu dying, such a pivotal moment for Star-Lord's character.
Great moment. Kind of carries the movie a little bit.
Yeah. Him and Rocket really carry this movie and the scenes that they were on screen together. But I just don't really see it being good. I think it's mid. Especially when we're putting the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of trilogy at like a high standard.
Yeah.
On this tier list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I think Ego. I think they did like an okay with Ego, okay job with Ego, but like
I felt like there could have been a little bit.
It's just high standards. You have high standards with these movies,
right? And then we can just skip over the group.
Yeah, honestly,
because neither one of us saw this. So now we're on to Age of Ultron, which I'm high on. I am bouncing between good and great.
I go good. I'm open to hearing why you think great, though.
Ultron has a villain, and having James Spader play him, I thought Ultron gave you everything you wanted. I think the vision aspect, and it's so interesting because we've gotten the what if version of Ultron and what if he did win in this movie in a case. So it's very interesting. But I feel like this was a perfect part 2 to Avengers. A different threat that gave them different challenges. But I just think Ultron as a character deserved a lot more and went out a little bit lackluster, in my opinion, for how good of a villain he is in the comics and all the different stuff he's able to do in the comics. I thought Hawkeye got a lot of development in this movie for sure. But it's more so looking at this, I just think this is an underrated. I think it's Marvel's most underrated movie. People want to forget about it because people look at Civil War as like Avengers 2, basically 2.5. So like I think this is definitely a pivotal role. You get obviously Wanda and Quicksilver, who I wish made it through the movie. You got Vision. So you got two pivotal characters, and Wanda and Vision in this. Yeah. But I could also see a world where it's just good. Just because I feel like they could have did a little bit more with Ultron, I feel like. But I feel like the stakes really hit with this movie.
I think that, the stakes definitely hit. It's just that. It's just I wish Ultron was a little bit better. But, like now, like you're saying it, and I'm thinking about all the other just great parts of the movie. Like the whole beginning where they're at the party, when it all happens, the Mark Ruffalo and RDJ dynamic during that movie was really sick.
Mm-hmm.
Thor has that vision. Like, it's a pretty good movie.
Really good.
It's a pretty good movie.
Start the movie.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good. I'm okay with you putting it great.
I'm gonna go great.
I'm okay with it.
I feel like it's probably the most underrated, slept-on project, I feel like, in the MCU. Now we got Ant-Man.
It's got to go good. I know the stakes are high. We're coming off Age of Ultron.
Right.
But come on. It's a good movie. So relaxed,
chill vibes.
Relaxed, come on.
Good. I'm down with good.
Sets up for Quantumania, the most hated movie in Marvel history.
Right.
With a Yellow Jacket. We get Luis, bro. That whole cast, so fire. Paul Rudd does a great job.
Then you get Yellow Jacket in this one, who ends up coming back later down the line.
Yeah.
To be MODOK. So
Yeah.
The Ant-Man franchise is just such a weird one.
I feel like you have to have like a polarizing opinion about it.
Yeah.
You either really like them or you just haven't watched them or just don't care about them at all.
I'm gonna go mid. I'm gonna go solid to mid. In my opinion. I'm gonna go solid to mid. We'll look back on it, but I'm thinking about where we're gonna place the other two. I'm just like, I don't know if the gap is that big from this and the other two, in my opinion, but that's just me.
Right.
Now we're on the Civil War. I think it's one of the GOATs. I think the plot of this movie is phenomenal. The story and the twist that you see Bucky was the one that killed Tony Stark's parents. That whole dynamic. This was, in my opinion, other than Infinity War and Endgame, the most game-changing movie because this broke up the Avengers, which led to them losing in Infinity War.
Right.
And this was, I think Zemo was phenomenal. The motive was there. Great. But then the one thing I'll
introduced Spider-Man.
You got Spider-Man. That's
Black Panther.
A movie that has so many characters that need time. You're introducing Black Panther and just the Wakandans in general. You're introducing Spider-Man. And I felt like the movie didn't miss a beat. I felt like there was never a sluggish point in the movie to where like the writing was bad or anything. I feel like it's one of the GOATs, in my opinion. Right. Just because of the stakes were there, the story was fucking great. Like, the dynamic between Tony and Cap was great, and then you insert Bucky in the situation, and like, it's just crazy. I think the chords, and you're seeing how that kind of broke the Avengers into two sides. Like, people had their different reasonings. Like
Cap is being chased by the government.
Yeah. So I have to put it in GOATs, in my opinion. Yeah.
The airport scene is one of the most known scenes in MCU history.
Right.
It's yeah.
Now Black Widow.
We're Black Widow defenders over here.
We are. I think Big Problems and Fun to Watch is a good spot for this. Because I think the cast, this is one of the more low-key funny movies because you're adding Elena, who's now going to be starring in Thunderbolts. Like, Red Guardian was funny.
Red Guardian is insanely funny.
You have a big problem with how they dealt with Taskmaster. I felt like there was a lot of some of the CGI stuff in this movie where you start to look at it kind of going downhill a little bit, where you notice a lot of the bad CGI. So I think there's big problems in this movie, but I still think it's a watch.
People were worried about the fact that she's already dead, and then this movie came out.
Yeah, this is also a movie that's tough because if it would have came out post Civil War,
it would have hit so much harder.
Like, I feel like I think it's a better movie than Captain Marvel. But I feel like at the time it came out, like, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow's already dead. Like, it's just kind of like a weird, like...
So why are you showing us this again? Like, yeah.
So I'm going to go with Big Problems Fun Watch.
Yeah, because I still think they did a lot of things right with this movie. They just had, a few problems. Taskmaster is, like, apparently one of the most popular.
Taskmaster's a big one that really rubbed people the wrong way.
Which, I get it. It wasn't a good move.
No.
Like, even like when we find out that she killed that girl. didn't kill her, but while trying to kill that guy in Budapest or whatever. Yeah, Dreykov, like, bro. Fire reveal. Her breaking her nose to kill him. Come on now.
There's some things where I think they did really, really well. Yeah. But there are some big problems. Black Panther, I think this is no question.
Goat.
No
question, goat.
Everything they did in this movie, Michael B. Jordan, the dynamic, the story, everything that led up to it, the action. I mean, the scale that Black Panther was on, most movies. I could even argue that the peak that they had with Black Panther outside of an Avengers movie was like the biggest MCU movie like ever. Like if it wasn't
bigger than No Way Home.
In my like,
you think so? I think you're right.
I think it's better.
I think you're right.
I think No Way Home is a lot of, and I hate to say it this way, a lot of fan service compared to Black Panther.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like the most popular, like outside of the other ones, like you said.
Probably
because I think it's better too.
Probably not, just because Spider-Man's such a more popular character. But I feel like at the time period this movie did come out,
it was huge. It was huge.
It took over the world.
Kendrick soundtrack, like, bro.
Everything that came with this movie was great, and I think it sucks that Chadwick Boseman did end up passing away, because I feel like this franchise in the MCU would have a completely different outlook if he did not die.
Yeah.
So, looking at this, I think it has to be up there with the GOATs. I could even say it might be the only non-Avengers movie that can compete with The Winter Soldier, in my opinion.
You might be right. I guess we'll see.
Standalone.
We'll see.
So, now we're getting into Spider-Man Homecoming.
I like these Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
I know a lot of people don't.
Right.
A lot of people don't like the Tom Holland movies. I like them. I still think they have a pretty good, Spider-Man feel to them. And I'm also just not like
Michael Keaton as the Vulture. I really, really like. I really like him as a grounded. His reasoning for doing what he's doing makes so much sense. And I feel like this was the perfect way to start out Tom Holland as Spider-Man, because it was such a grounded feel.
Mm-hmm.
But it also led to like his life turning into this change of him having to balance both his regular life and being Spider-Man, and saw how really just from a teenage perspective, how that can affect the life of somebody who's really just going to school and trying to just be a normal.
Tells his best friend, tells people, like, starts telling people, like, not actually that it is, but like starts giving it out a little bit, like, yeah, he's still dealing with like the high school stuff, and I think it's a good portrayal.
I think this is the best dynamic of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, because I felt like Andrew Garfield was so Spider-Man rather than so Peter Parker,
right,
in those movies. And Tobey Maguire was a good in-between, but I feel like we never really saw Tobey Maguire go through like the simple shit that Tom Holland goes through in this movie.
No.
So I think I gotta go. I'm gonna go great. I like it with this. Okay. I just think I'm huge on what they did with Vulture. I think Vulture made a ton of sense, especially when you're going from him being introduced in Civil War, and then kind of this is like the really only like grounded Spider-Man movie in the catalog for the MCU right now.
Right.
And I feel like they did a lot with No Way Far From Home, and then No Way Home's obviously multiversal. So I think from a grounded perspective, I think Spider-Man Homecoming really hit.
Yeah, a little bit of Iron Man, but not too much.
Yeah. That was huge. A lot of it was how much is Iron Man going to be involved in this movie. A little bit made sense when he was in there.
Yep.
Not too much. And I think they ended it off really good with him being like turning down this pretty much like I'm going to be an Avenger kind of job at the end, and just going back to being a regular kid. I think everything in this movie delivered, and I don't think it deserves a lot of the hate that it does get in just terms of where it's placed in this kind of trilogy. Because Tom Holland's movies, I feel like, are good, but I feel like people hate on them a little bit too much because they obviously have so much source material to go back to of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and it's all this comparison.
It's the 8th Spider-Man movie.
So like I'm looking at this as like,
at this one, but
I'm like grounded. something I love, something we don't really have from Tom Holland's Spider-Man in this MCU so far. So I gotta go great. Doctor Strange.
Man, I ain't seen this movie in ages, bro.
Recently watched this.
What you think?
In my opinion, it's really, really good. I don't think it's great though.
I don't think it's great. I was gonna say good, not great, because
I think it's really, really good. I think everything they did in this movie, a lot of things they did in this movie really worked. I think Doctor Strange just has a character to see everything unfold and see him lose everything and to see him how he gains it back and how his character kind of develops through this movie. I think it works. Dormammu.
Really? I think when I remember back, like I just don't remember liking the way that he went from being like this raggedy fucking bearded guy to like becoming Doctor Strange. I thought it was a little quick and choppy.
I could see, but I just think he was such a dick and arrogant at the start of the movie compared to where he does get to at the end with knowing sacrifice and all the different values that he gains throughout the movie.
Right.
I just think it's super. The only things I didn't really mess with the movie, Caecilius was just like,
so
whatever.
Mid. Like so mid.
Dormammu, like I said, such a tough character.
Like it's a cool moment, but like yeah, it's tough to really do anything unless you're going all out and doing that. Right. Dormammu's taking over from the dark dimension.
Right. But I think Doctor Strange, in the end, putting him in the time loop makes sense for them to get out of that situation without looking like Dormammu if they did want to bring him back and they haven't so far. To like make it so like it makes sense of why he's been defeated or make like it's a bargain. Like movie. So looking at this, I think it's good. I think it's above solid and mid just because I feel like Doctor Strange is such a cool character. So I gotta go good.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok.
I'm thinking great. I don't know if I'd go goats. I don't think I would.
I'm gonna go great. Can't go goats in my opinion. But the love that they brought back to the character of Thor in this movie meant so much to what they were going to do with Thor going forward. And I just hate that they fumbled the ball with Love and Thunder so bad. But I think Thor Ragnarok, I can't put it up there with the GOATs, but I think great is a really good spot. Hela was really good.
Like bring Loki back, like the whole thing on, I don't remember what the planet's called. The Grandmaster's great. The Hulk's funny. Like I don't particularly, again, I don't like this version of Hulk that much, but the Hulk is funny, and most of it
really
does.
The last like really good parts of the Hulk that we've seen left because you go into Infinity War right after this in the post-credit.
Yeah.
So this is like the last like really good version of the Hulk that we've seen. Even though he's like talking more, they were going down more so the funny route, but in this movie it did deliver. Compared to, I think it hit so much because of the past two Thor movies being more of like a grayish, serious kind of tone.
Right.
But the stakes were higher in this movie, and you added the comedy in, and it actually made sense. I think the Thor to Loki dynamic is huge in this movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really thought this movie delivered. It really revived the character of Thor, which is what kind of Marvel needed at this point for the character. So I gotta go great. Maybe we look back and maybe put it in the GOATs. I can see arguments for it there, but
I definitely can see arguments for it.
A tad low. I think it's a tad below that of the GOATs here.
Me too.
Ant-Man and the Wasp 2. Well, I guess Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man 2.
I personally would go big problems, fun to watch.
Okay.
But that's also like, if I was just to say Ant-Man as a series, that's what I would kind of put it.
Right.
It's big problems, fun to watch. It just kind of has all that. I like Ghost, and now we're going to see her in Thunderbolts as a hero.
Mm-hmm.
I like what they did with Bill Foster. This is obviously the best version of Wasp we get.
Right.
We get more Luis and of the that whole cast, and Paul Rudd does a good job again. It's just like the other villains that they had that really messed up the pacing of this movie.
Really good post credit, I will say though, for what
That was the one,
yeah.
the
You got
dusting, right?
Quantum Realm.
Yeah.
And this was also another movie that was like weirdly placed. Like it was going right into Endgame. Like it was like in that in between of Infinity War and Endgame. So it was all kind of matching up and coming together. And this was kind of just a movie to like, okay,
low stakes.
low
This
stakes.
was like so like two movies. I think it was Captain Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp were the two that came out between those two, and it's like Captain Marvel is supposed to be this high stakes movie, high stakes like origin film that doesn't really work because it's not that good of a film.
Mm-hmm.
Ant-Man and the Wasp isn't that good, but it's more of like a low stakes, funny. Again, Ant-Man second movie, like that doesn't really mean shit. So again, I think it works in its last ways.
Paul Rudd is Ant-Man. He's like people talk about RDJ as Iron Man. I think Paul Rudd's in that conversation of he is Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And the first two Ant-Man movies I can't put in bad. They're both I can see big problems, fun to watch, but I think that first Ant-Man's better than the second. So I think this is perfectly fine where we got them right now. Now we're getting into
the big boys.
IW.
I mean, you can just put it there.
Go. I think this might be. I don't think they will ever top this. I don't think even if DC does something crazy, I think this will go down unless something insane happens in like Avengers Doomsday or whatever James Gunn does with the DC. Like, I don't think there can be a better superhero movie than this.
Another comic book, yeah.
I don't think you end it perfectly going into Endgame. Everybody got to shine in this movie. The only character where you can say they didn't shine enough was maybe this was like Captain America taking a little bit of a back seat, a little bit.
Right.
But like with all the characters that they had to work with, I think splitting them up, now you have Iron Man and with the Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Like now you have everybody else on Wakanda. Like you have Thor and his whole process with Rocket and Groot. Like Thanos being the main character of this movie really fit, and I think this is the only way this movie could go about.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think they did it all perfectly. I think they fit the themes of everybody's movies. Like I always think back to how the music would change to whoever characters were in. Mm-hmm. I think they did a great job of like all of these guys are already established characters, so we don't really have to like flesh anybody out. Right. We already know. Like again, this is Avengers 3 at this point. With Civil War, it's Avengers 4. So like we already know what it is. Mm-hmm. And then like I feel like that's gonna be a problem with Doomsday is back. Now we're back to like we don't know a bunch of these characters. Right. But like we know what it is, and obviously it's like a Thanos like character insight movie, which I think they hit completely on.
Like going back on it, like I don't think they can it's easy to go back on it now, but like the only way to do it was to make this a Thanos driven movie. Yeah. Like you can't make this an Iron Man driven movie. You couldn't make it a Captain America driven movie. One, we've seen that. But the perspective more so of Thanos interacting with these characters, I think it's a perfect movie. I really do. I think that if there's any movie that I can just go back and rewatch and it's going to hit every time, the snap hits every single time. You got the best version of Thor like you're ever going to get up to this point. Like everything just delivered.
I always I look back and I watch it and I'm like, I always get annoyed when Thanos gets there and like everyone's going at him and everyone just doesn't do shit to him. Yeah. Like I just see Black Panther just get fucking bodied. I'm like, man, fuck that. But like that's like how it went. Like that's what happened. So
I think it's just crazy. Yes, completing his goal, but also talking about how much he lost to get his goal at the end. I just think it's a perfect cohesive superhero movie that will never be topped, in my opinion.
That was getting built towards for 15 years. Just perfect. Or 10 years, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Now we're getting into Endgame. I think it follows right up. Yeah. I think it... Now... It's delivered. Now, do I understand some criticisms with Endgame? Of course, I absolutely do. I think the Hulk was done really weird. I did not like what they did with Thor. I would have rather seen Thor go down like this kind of similar Hawkeye route where he's mad about what happened and kind of just goes on
He's
this
like a
spree.
killer. Yeah.
Yes, and he's just not invading these worlds, but like not pulling his punches anymore, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
So I think what they did with Thor and Hulk gave us some comedic relief in a serious toned movie. I love what they did at the start with Black Widow and Captain America and what they were doing post Infinity War. I'm still mad we didn't get a what if episode of what if the other half got snapped and we got to see how that played out. But I think it really delivers. We get a twist, a different version of Thanos in this one as well.
Right.
That it's not the same one. I feel like the one in Infinity War was more calm, if that's the word to use for it. But like
more
this
mature,
thing,
like he'd been through that journey.
right?
This one's just getting thrown into it, and he's been told that he already won, and he's like legit getting gassed up by his guys, or it's like, you did it, bro. You ain't even do it yet, but you did it.
So I think this is like I said, in a movie that had to top and be on a same kind of similar level to Infinity War to cap off this journey that's been going on for like a decade at this point in time. I think they did a great job.
Like, they jumped right into it too, with like Hawkeye's family disappearing, like literally right off the bat, like fire.
It just works. I love what they did with Hawkeye. I love
it can be a little slow at times, but like I just don't care.
But I feel like the moments where it is a little slow, you appreciate it because this is the end. Like, it's legit called Endgame, so you appreciate the kind of moments where like Thor and Captain America, Iron Man go back in time.
Yeah.
The old days. Like,
yeah, I know that was sick.
I think everything, even the slower kind of moments, like hit and everything intertwines. The only problems I have with this movie is what they did with Thor and Hulk. Only problems I really have with this movie are those two. I think everything else is great. Everything else is perfect. But it's still one of the goats just because of the ending scene, and it's going to hit every time.
I think everything they did, like, with, I don't know, I'm thinking about Iron Man specifically, to be honest, right now. But like, I loved everything that they did with Iron Man in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the whole time, and him going back to see his dad. I thought that conversation was lit. And then obviously him destroying Thanos and his crew and the snap and all that. It's just, yeah. No, they did it. I don't think they're going to be able to do it again, but they did it.
Now on to Loki.
Season 1.
Season 1. Man. This was... I think it's the best TV show season.
Really?
I really do. I
don't like it as much as season 2. But
I think the lead up, it just sucks. The only thing that sucks about it is I think the lead up that we got in this season and what the peak was in the final episode, knowing you're going into season 2. But I felt like the season 2 didn't deliver because of the outside shit going on with Jonathan Majors that was coming out when this series was going on, to where there was talks about every weekend, like, how is this season going to end? Is this whole season just going to be like whatever, or is it going to get written off because they kind of have to do and pivot with the Jonathan Majors situation? So I felt like the outside, obviously I can't really put too much stock in it because it's out of their control, but I feel like the outside factors made me look at the season a little bit differently compared to the first one, which I thought was just phenomenal. Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston, the Chem. The Chem deserves big screen.
The character development.
It deserves big screen.
Yeah, it was... No, season 1's great. I mean, this is my favorite show. One of my favorite pieces that Marvel's ever come out with. I don't know why I like season 2 more. I think it's just because, like, it's just the end of it, and I knew where it was all going. It's just bigger, and but like not knowing where we're going at, like, you know, in season 1, was crazy. Like once we're in the void,
yes,
it's like, damn, dude, like that's otherworldly type shit.
He
like
Who Remains in that final episode, was so good. I'm going go. I don't.
If you go here, dude, I think you have to go both. Because I genuinely, like, dude, Loki season 2. Oh my god, like the questions and like the time of it all. And like Victor, like not even I wasn't even trying to do that, but Victor Timely of it all. Ah, dude, I don't know. I love Loki. I think they both go GOAT personally, but like I could see there.
I can agree because even with how everything did wrap up, I think it was a perfect send off for Loki as a character. Even though there's the door still open for him to come back, I see a world where he doesn't as well. The dynamic between him and Sylvie and him and the obstacles that he does have to go through, I just think it works so well.
Yeah, dude, it's so introspective and like
The cast just works. It just works.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, everything just works. If you haven't watched Loki, please do yourself a favor and watch that. It's just it goes really deep into Loki's character, and in the arc he makes is in these 2 seasons. I think it's just beautiful.
He's up there with, in my opinion, Captain America and Iron Man has the most well-developed characters
Me too.
in the MCU that they've done. And I think they both have to go and GOAT, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Season 1, What If? So this is ending. It's mixed bag. Every episode's different, then it has an underlying story, and then you end up getting to Infinity Ultron, which I loved. I think this is great. I think What If Season 1 was great. I loved everything you got with Infinity Ultron. You got the Doctor Strange episode, which was, I think, one of the best they've done. In terms of, you got Marvel Zombies in this, if I'm not mistaken, in Season 1.
You did.
So you got really, really good episodes out of this one compared to the other 2 seasons.
You definitely got the best episodes of the series.
Yes, in this
season, for sure. And I think, yeah.
I gotta go.
I would go good, but I'm okay with great. Because it's the best. I think it's the best they did. I don't think either of the other 2 seasons are as good. Because I was okay with this whole connected at the end of the season, but like then they kept going and it got worse. So, but like this was fine, you know.
I'm gonna go good because season 2.
That's where I think we go. Big Problems Fun to Watch.
I think Big Problems Fun to Watch. They did a little too much with this.
Like here's the thing. I was okay with Strange coming back to be the villain. It's just like what he did. Like it was just stupid. The last episode was just stupid.
Right.
He's throwing them into this forge, and they just keep going up and down. Like, bro, no, don't give me all this bullshit, bro. We're Captain Carter's the best is Gaia from Secret Invasion plus. Like, bro, no, too much.
So and then I'm gonna go third season bad.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna go third bad.
I was okay. There were a few like good episodes, but then I found myself just like making excuses for them, and I was like, well, no, maybe some of these episodes are just bad.
Right. I thought the Mysterio episode was cool, just because you got to see Mysterio like be legit.
Yeah, I like the Bucky and Red Guardian one.
Bucky and Red Guardian one was fun, but I just think it's just a fall off because a lot of it was just like Peggy Carter getting pushed down your throat.
At this point, it was like after season 1, you knew what people wanted,
right?
And you just didn't give it to them.
Wanted crazy shit because it's what if anything can happen. I hate that they didn't. And I know they have like a series where it's been announced that at least it's in the ideas there of Marvel Zombies being a whole separate thing.
I think it's coming out this year. I think it already has a release date.
Right. So, I mean, I just think there were so many more great ideas that we could have got that we didn't.
Oh, for sure.
I felt like it kind of let it down. And then, like, you can't. They're done doing What If. So, like, it's just. This was something I thought you could have done for a while.
Forever. But and they can always come back to it. I just think I honestly think it's just a good time for them to just take a break.
Right.
And give the story a break, and you can just come back and like just make the episodes normally again. Like, which you can just do at any time. There's no pressure, I think, because I still do think they have really great animation style sometimes, and they can do really cool things with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even like, because I didn't watch it, but I hear X-Men 97 was like a huge hit. And like, even this Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was really, really good. It's like, they can do great things with animation. They just need to like tell the show to fuck off.
Ideas. Yeah. Now, WandaVision.
I think you're great.
you didn't watch it when it was coming out.
No.
When this show, week to week, the spoilers, the theories of what this season was going to lead to, it was a bit of a letdown. Mephisto. Ralph Boner.
Eric Voss.
It was a little bit of a letdown.
He said this was going to be in it.
I think it was good. The Wanda and Vision dynamic works. There are some great moments. I think Agatha's the perfect kind of villain for this. And then you kind of see how everything kind of intertwines throughout the episodes of the show. The show kind of starts out a little bit slow the first 2 episodes because it's all set up and you're kind of in this hex.
I also think they did great things with the whole going through the years of TV and using that as a medium in the plot of the story and going through that and coming out of it, back to like Darcy Lewis's world and Monica Rambeau and all that. I thought that was really cool what they did. Most of it, there are definitely some problems, but and then the emotion of the show, I thought they hit most of this is their first TV show that they've done, obviously in the MCU. So I don't know. I think it deserves a little bit of leeway in that way, and I think they did a great job, all things considering. I go back and watch WandaVision quite a bit, to be honest.
I'd go and agree. They did deliver with what they wanted to do.
But I think they perfected it in Loki.
Yes.
They went on to Loki to say, let's get even better.
Yes.
Come on now.
Shang-Chi.
I'm interested to see what you say here.
I remember all summer, because this movie came out in, I want to say September. It was right after the summer where it came out.
Right.
All summer long, I said, Shang-Chi's going to be one of them ones. Shang-Chi's going to bang. All summer long, I was saying this. And man, when I thought the movie was going to end, big-ass monster comes out of this door. I'm just like, this is what I want. 10 rings, phenomenal. Phenomenal. Has just a weapon and what they did, the cool shit they did with it in the movie. The fight scenes are up to the level of Winter Soldier, in my opinion, with what they were able to do. The dynamic between him and his sister is great, and his father being a misunderstood villain in a way. Everything I felt like was done really, really well. Yeah. I just wish the second one has been out, so I can see them dive more into this world. Yeah. The scene on the side of the building with all that construction and stuff on the side of the building, that fight scene was great.
There were parts of the Mandarin was okay. It was a little bit weird to me. The ending fight was a little bit weird. Some of the moments with CGI with the dragons, and I know a lot of people hate that way more than me. I'm actually okay with it. I get that this is another universe, world. There are dragons in other worlds, guys. We are in the Marvel universe. So I'm completely okay with it. His best friend, who they force into every single scene in the movie, is terrible, and I hate her. And they force her into every single scene. That's my one really big gripe with the movie. But amazing origin story. This was the first movie that I watched in theater with you guys after getting caught up in all the Marvel stuff. So this was my first experience in an MCU theater going. Pretty sick.
I just thought this movie had a lot of really good parts. Some bad. But I have to go a little bit above mid because the action scenes in this movie are really, really good.
Yeah, I think it deserves good. I think it's a better origin story than Doctor Strange.
I could argue, yeah.
I think personally.
I think the only bad parts and weird parts are the best friend, and then the Mandarin was weird, but the action sequences, how the movie felt and looked, it was kind of this fresh environment Marvel's never really dove into at this point when it came out. The end credit scene, we still don't have an answer. We don't have an answer.
Nope.
It's been years.
Oh, it got canceled, buddy. That got canceled. The Jonathan Majors getting
What were they calling out to? The big event.
It was calling out to Kang.
But it's gonna go with good.
I think it deserves good.
Falcon Winter Soldier, man. I feel like me and you might be the only two out of our friends
that watch this shit.
That fucked with us.
Oh, I like it. I think it ages well after Brave New World. No.
Yes.
I think it ages well.
Isaiah Bradley, great.
The Isaiah Bradley, I think we get the, like, I talked about a little bit with how not grounded Sam Wilson is in Brave New World. I think this gives us that. I think this kind of helps showing here in this show how grounded he is and his family type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like everything that they did with Bucky. Everything that they did with Zemo.
John Walker, I feel like, was really, really good.
John Walker was great, in my opinion. It's literally just like...
He goes in Thunderbolts.
Yeah, and it's literally just like Carly Morgenthau and the Hand Smashers, or whatever, Flag Smashers.
Yeah.
Just them that kind of ruined it. It's just like, and when you're the... Like, it's a lot... A TV show has a lot more screen time than a movie.
Right.
So we have to watch a lot more of this slow burn of a shit villain. Like, it's a lot harder to watch.
I feel like when they were dealing with the Super Soldier Serum, they could have done such a better villain.
Because that was cool, I felt like. Once we got to the point where, like...
It was cool, yeah.
Yeah, like where John Walker's going after it and he has to make a decision, and like Zemo's there looking at it and just stepping on him. Like, that was cool. It's just the whole restructuring people's living situations around the world. I just don't give a fuck. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
feel like the idea was there. They were onto it. But I think this does age really well post Brave New World, like you said.
Yeah.
I think it does. So I'm going to go...
Come on. Gets it good, right? It gets it good.
I think it does. I think
Let's
it gets
go.
good. I think it gets good. I think it does.
Let's go.
Now,
I think so too.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
I think Far From Home's pretty good. I don't know, like we're comparing it to like Far From Home. I think it's a little bit worse than our Homecoming. I mean, but it also has like so much more to do. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it has some of the best scenes in Spider-Man's Tom Holland so far. Like the scene where he uses his sense. And I think some of the different obstacles he does have fighting Mysterio, I think is very interesting with the drones. I think it is a little weird because now at the end, and then in the start of Far From Home, or No Way Home, was Nick Fury wasn't Nick Fury in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he was a Skrull. But I think that adds a different wrinkle to it. I really, really like Jake Gyllenhaal just as an actor. I think he did a really, really good job in this. His motivation was a little... Tony Stark fired you, so you're kind of like...
I don't like... Yeah.
And then, like, you're adding in, like, all these different guys from past Iron Man movies. I feel like this other than unlike Homecoming, this maybe had a little bit too much Tony Stark involvement, even though he's gone at this point in the MCU. I feel like the involvement was still really, really there.
Yeah.
But I like what they did with the Mysterio. I think they made it to where you can make Spider-Man look like a villain in the MCU public's eyes. Because that's how he kind of goes down that path in No Way Home. I think it does get a little bit too much hate, but I think it's definitely not in the... I think it's solid to mid.
Okay, I think that's fair. There are parts of it I don't like. This is Ned's worst movie, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't like something like that. He's in a lot of it. Like, some of the stuff with his class is just a little bit cringe, like, but
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, most of it works. I liked most of the Mysterio stuff. Yeah, just solid
to mid
Spider-Man movie.
Now we're on to No Way Home.
I go great.
So you know what the problems I have, and I kind of touched on them in the last episode. There was just something about when Andrew Garfield jumped through that portal when I was in the theater, man, and Tobey Maguire after him.
The moments
were so good. You had high stakes. Aunt May dies. Like, Green Goblin.
The
William Dafoe.
The sense with the Green Goblin.
That scene is the best Spider-Man scene we've seen so far from Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And this really, I think this does such a good job of looking back at, like, Andrew Garfield's universe and realizing, holy shit, Andrew Garfield was arguably the best Spider-Man. And I feel like those movies that he was in get a lot of flack. But like
him catching Zendaya,
yes, the moments
had me crying.
The moments. Like I said, the only problems I have with this movie, I didn't like how Doc Ock changed me personally. Every villain turns into kind of like, they go back, they die. Why was Green Goblin the only person on absolute smoke? They tried to do it with Electro. I hate how they made Electro go out to Doc Ock, and I think the Lizard was kind of a throw-in. I didn't like how Sandman, you couldn't see his, like, because the actor had some conflict or whatever. I thought they could have pivoted because you couldn't see like Sandman the actor. It was only just sand.
Throughout
the movie.
I didn't know that. Huh.
So the actor had like conflicts, and I'm just like,
yeah, but like, yeah, there's just too many goods.
Yeah, there's too many goods.
Positives.
Yeah,
like they really did it. They brought all three of the Spider-Men together.
The fight at the end with Green Goblin and Tom Holland like having to be stopped, and then the apartment fight scene. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That is what I wanted to see going into this movie. It had a deep, darker tone. It had real struggle, real battle. Now you're kind of setting up the next trilogy of movies Tom Holland's going to get in the Spider-Man universe, which I'm excited for. I'm going to go great. I don't think it has that like, I think all of these projects have the if you know what I mean. Like, you turn it on, it's a classic.
Like it has it all.
Yes.
This doesn't have it all. It doesn't have every single. Okay. It doesn't check every box. Good. Like I feel like everything. You're right. Everything in the GOATs checks every single box.
Right.
This doesn't check.
I think this is just a tad below. I think it's just a tad below.
Okay. I see where we're going here.
Now, lock in. Eternals. Listen.
I hear what you guys are saying.
We hear it.
I get it.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
It's not that good, but it's not that bad either. Like when did I watch this movie? I think I was on a flight to Phoenix, and I checked like which Marvel movies I had downloaded, and like when I had Winter Soldier, and then like Infinity War or something, and then I had Eternals, and the other two like expired. Like I couldn't watch them anymore, so I had to watch Eternals on the way to Phoenix.
I just feel like this movie was just missing a little bit of, I hate to say, a little bit of spark.
It was
in the middle of the movie.
It's just too crowded. It's just a little too crowded. Like,
there's a lot of characters. Yes, there's a little too much character development that needed to go on. But the powers are cool. I think this is the best on-screen live-action speedster we've seen. I think that was great. The dynamic, the twist with Icarus. Was cool. I fucked with that.
I thought how they did that well. Whatever their monsters were called, the one that he started to gain consciousness a little bit.
Yes.
Loved it. Athena, like, losing her mind a little bit, and, like, the memories started coming back, and that's how we kind of find out, like, even that twist of, like, the fact that they have been on so many worlds, and this isn't their first time. It's just, like, a few of the characters. Like, that Sprite character is absolutely terrible. Cersei, I feel like, shouldn't have been the main character. She got no sauce.
Right.
She got no sauce. They put Icarus and Cersei's boyfriend on the screen together for no reason other than the fact that they were Jon Snow and Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. There's no reason. There's no story reason to have them on the screen at the same time. They said, we just have to do it. I'm sorry, we just got to do it.
Is it? I don't know if I can go good. I think it's solid to mid.
No, that's fair too.
I don't know. It's like such a... Most people think it's in these two.
For sure. 100%. And
us putting it in here
especially now, like, knowing that there's no real future, and like we just saw the future in Brave New World of this movie, so it's like, even with hindsight, I can see how people say it. It's just like, I don't know, parts of the movie it just really hit for me. I liked the team bonding that they had. I
think it's just a whole different feel. Like, the vibe was just such a different thing that we haven't seen.
Yeah, we haven't seen
with a team in the MCU. Like, I like the vibe. I think it's solid to mid. I can't go good though. Yes. Solid to mid, I can't go good.
Yeah.
Can't go good. Multiverse of Madness. Man, this is... the direction this movie went, with the hype this movie had. Multiverse. America Chavez was okay.
She was not good.
She was...
she was like...
Wanda was just good. Overly OP in this movie. I wanted to see her and Strange at least get after it, like at the start of the movie, maybe a little bit more, rather than Doctor Strange kind of just ducking her and running away the whole movie. I really liked the ending sequence when Doctor Strange goes and gets the dead body from the start of the movie. I thought that was cool. I just don't... The Illuminati, Wanda wiping the floor with them, making her like this greater threat, obviously, was cool. We got to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. Like, Professor X was in this movie. Like, they had some good. They had some good, for sure. Maybe they made Wanda maybe a tad OP, because, like, she was really unfuckwittable.
I think we could have spent some more time in, like, a few other worlds. Like, the only one we really spent time in is the 838 where the Illuminati is, and, like, which is fine. I don't know. Both
of the Doctor Strange fighting was really, really good.
It's just about, like, expectations. We come into like, you named it Multiverse of Madness, man. Like, we just expected more in that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know? You just had us flying through a bunch of them and landing in one.
Right. But I think I gotta go good.
I think I liked it. I think it goes in good. I liked Doctor Strange as a character more in this movie.
Yes.
Definitely.
Seeing him... So, apparently from sources and everything, like, No Way Home was supposed to come out before Multiverse of Madness. So you would have seen Doctor Strange dealing with another kid, in a sense, before he deals with America Chavez, tapping into the multiverse before they go into Multiverse of Madness, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But instead, it's flipped, and you're seeing Multiverse of Madness, then seeing him in No Way Home. It's different, right?
Right.
So, I gotta go good. Did
Multiverse of Madness come out before?
Yeah.
No Way Home?
Yeah.
Why? That's so stupid.
Well, Multiverse of Madness was originally supposed to come out right after WandaVision.
Yeah,
but COVID.
Well, but don't they say something about what he did in No Way Home? In the movie? Like, I had this thing with the spider guy?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, that's so crazy.
Yeah. So, apparently, I don't know how true it is, but I've heard that these movies are supposed to be flipped.
Gotcha.
So, in the no COVID world, Multiverse of Madness would have been out. And then you would have got him in No Way Home.
And it all came out that Wanda's actors say that they said that they didn't even watch WandaVision?
Or something.
I think I heard something like that too, that they didn't even watch WandaVision, so they didn't even know like what her character was like at the time, and they just like forced her to be this like so villain, like, which is fine. I thought it's still a pretty good job. I understand where she's coming from after all that grief and all. After coming off WandaVision, I get it. But like, if they would have actually watched, then they could have made it, I feel like, even better.
Mm-hmm. So now we're going into Hawkeye.
Like, the vibes are there.
They're there. Yelena, the motive there. Kingpin was cool. The dynamic there.
It was cool, but from after now that I've watched Daredevil, fuck everything that they did with Kingpin in this show.
Right.
Like, she beats him.
Yeah.
This Wilson Fisk would never let that happen. With Wilson Fisk I'm watching right now, he would never let that happen. Like, no. So I think it goes down for me a little bit. Most of it works. I love Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. Obviously, we get Clint Barton back. Goes crazy. It's a little bit of a Christmas show, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Came around Christmas time.
The repercussions of being kind of a killer.
Yeah, being the Ronin. Yeah.
Yeah.
That comes back to bite him. I think her mom being low-key a villain was like what, like, didn't hit for me that much. her stepdad or whatever really hit for me. He was really funny. He had that sword and he was like fighting people out. That was cool. So like parts of it hit for me really hard. It was like a more relaxed show. It's just parts of it just didn't as much.
I think
So
we're
would
going.
like solid mid.
Are we going
Overall.
big problems, fun watch though?
That'd be fine too, honestly.
I think big problems,
Yeah,
fun
that's
watch was
fair.
good for this
Yeah.
show. Unless you go on with Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. Ooh. I really like Moon Knight. I think it's another one of these polarizing shows. You have either a really high opinion on it or a really low opinion on it. I really like what they do with the multiple personality. It's another one of these like really goes into like the theme of like gods and the Egyptian gods and all that, and I really like it. I love what Ethan Hawke does as the villain. It's just like I don't want to spoil it for you as much, but like the finale is kind of like another CGI nightmare a little bit, like just monster fight, and like that's just stupid. I just hate that they ended it that way. His love interest is a little bit like blah, but like all the twists and like what they do with like the brain, like dude, like the final 2 episodes and what they do with like he's like a mental shit, like it's so fire. Some of the ideas that they delve deep into are like really, really good. So I think that at least I think it goes good because there are some problems for sure. And the pacing was a little bit weird at times, and like they do some weird things with like the multiple personalities. But like the post credit of the final episode, fire. Like overall, really, really good. Especially with what's his face is acting the main character, who's also Miguel.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. There you go. Phenomenal acting by him.
Now we're on to Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever's tough, I think, because it's like all these other ones were kind of like you have to compare them to the first movie of the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
you couldn't do that.
You can't. Like this is a movie where I don't think you can because it's like so much shit happened,
right?
And like you still have to make the movie. I don't know. I go good.
I'm going great. Now, here's why. I think with the circumstances that they were dealt were hard enough when you lose your obviously main actor, probably was gonna be the face of the MCU going forward. You lose that, and Chadwick Boseman, who's a phenomenal actor in itself, so you lose that, and you pivot and still make it this emotional, great film. I love what they did with Shuri. I really, really do. I think her like character development through that. I'm glad they didn't recast. I really am.
That's people's main gripe, I feel like, with the movie is that they didn't recast, and I'm happy they didn't.
The mom going out the way she did, so emotional. She was a really good driving force throughout this movie.
Okoye getting like kind of like fired a little bit.
Yes,
she gets brought back because she redeems herself, but like so good. It's just a really emotional movie that hits hard.
Namor, when he was on business, was really, really good.
But like, I also understand what he's on when he's not on business. Like at the end of the day, this guy is like the leader of like, if they were on a country, they'd be like one of the biggest countries in the world, if not the biggest country in the world. Like, there's a lot of people under him, so like he has to, like he got beat, like he has to kind of accept at that point. Like he ain't gonna go out like that. Right. He has a nation to lead. Like, so I actually really liked everything that they did with Namor. But
the Riri Williams, really good in my opinion, with her role and what she did.
I don't like it.
I fucked with it.
I
think it was a good
my
vibe.
only like bleh with it.
Now is she good enough to get her own show? I don't think so. But I think it was cool to bring in somebody different, somebody new, a new face to this kind of cast and everything else, like with what they were doing. The only gripe I have is like, and the scene with Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger, being on the plane, like the celestial plane, and then not being Chadwick Boseman. Fire, because of the motive. Only problem I have is just like I kind of touched on it, and I think it's a problem with like the change of heart and shit like that when it comes to villains at some point, because the motive was there for her to like get it done, and she kind of had a change of heart, which it made sense.
You think she should have killed him?
Like, it could have been
He's
a
just marked his
cool,
shit.
crazy. It could have been
For
a crazy
sure.
thing. It could have been a crazy thing.
But like then that's like then
But
where's her
you
character
couldn't.
development though? Then
Exactly. It's just like, man, the suit looks so tough. The motive was so there. Like, I gotta go great with the circumstances that they had to deal with. Kind of just unfortunately was tough, and you still got to put out a great movie. It's just like, it's such an emotional movie to where like the rewatchability isn't as high as Black Panther, just because it's such an emotional movie. To where like I just don't feel myself going back to it as consistently, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I still got to go great. Now these next three, I will say, haven't seen them. Nick, go ahead.
All right, I'll make these quick. Echo, we're gonna go bad. Had a few cool things. It's work with it's centered around a deaf girl. The girl she was in, I think I don't know what movie. She was in another movie.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. Or no, yeah, so she's just in Hawkeye, not in a movie. It just has its moments, has a cool, cool side characters, and it builds up Wilson Fisk again just to destroy him again in the last episode. There's just nothing. I watched it one time. I have not rewatched it. I don't think I plan to very soon. It's just just a Hawkeye 2, and it's just blah. She has some cool fighting though. She is a really cool fighter. Some cool fighting scenes, but just I thought they were gonna do some stuff with the deaf stuff. Didn't do it. Miss Marvel. I go big problems, fun to watch. I also think this show isn't for my age range at all. I think this is for like a high school kid type thing. Just a lot of like phone screen on the TV, like text, and I love Captain Marvel. Like, that's just not for me, bro. That's just not for me. Villain is shit. But she is a cool character, and I want some of the characters are cool and whatever. The family is like awesome. That's like the main thing of the movie. It's like it's almost like a Blue Beetle like family. Like, they're awesome to watch. But not much. We see a little bit of repercussions from the MCU, which is cool, but yeah,
nothing major.
Nothing crazy. She-Hulk. God, I think I'm gonna be a little bit gracious and go big problems, fun to watch, because like I did go back and rewatch a few episodes. I watched the one that like Daredevil's in. I watched another one that was okay, but like again, it has its moments. I'm okay with like some of the fourth wall breaking, and bringing back the Abomination was all right, and Daredevil gets a cool cameo, and it just some funny stuff, but like again, just like not necessary viewing. She just destroys the whole point of the show with the fourth wall breaking in the last episode, and like she goes in and like talks to the writers. And like that's just like I'm okay with fourth wall breaking. Hey, I love Deadpool, but like there's just certain types of fourth wall breaking. But yeah, kind of fun to watch though. A little bit funny.
Alrighty, Thor: Love and Thunder. How did this get made?
Move Echo down to how did this come out, and then you can go.
Okay,
there you go.
Like, Christian Bale has for the God Butcher. Like it was right there. Everything was right. I've never wanted to walk out of a movie so much in my life. I had so much faith in this movie. I was like, you have Chris Hemsworth, who's just coming off Endgame, who's going to go with the Guardians of the Galaxy to kick this movie off. You have Gore the God Butcher. You have Christian Bale, one of the best actors on the planet, as your villain. And you fumble. We see Gore doing no God butchering throughout mainly the whole movie. How do we not see a scene? Yes. How do we not see a scene of him putting gods to the ground?
You just see aftermath.
You only see aftermath. You only see, and then one of the only good qualities was when they are on the new Asgard, and him jumping in and out of the shadows was fire. The black and white scene, fire. The motive to get to eternity, fire. But then all of a sudden you get there, we have a change of heart. We have a change of heart. And you get there. Meanwhile, I almost got up and left when Thor gave his powers to the kids. Gore the God Butcher. This high level threat, a god killer, was killed and defeated. Not even really defeated because he got to eternity at the end. He just had change of heart. Was getting beat up by kids. Jane Foster, keep it. Eat my hammer. What are we doing?
She legit said that.
What are we doing?
It's supposed to be a joke.
Now,
It just doesn't hit,
Thompson.
bro.
Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie. We love that.
Love that.
We love that.
Always love that.
Zeus.
Most of it I loved. Again,
Most of it was cool.
Wasn't even his fault. Again, just the writing.
Yeah.
Like, why are we going so deep into the comedy?
Writing was so bad.
Why we got to go so deep? Why is he wearing a leotard?
And then it's tough because Chris Hemsworth has come out and said that they kind of like lost a bit of what worked in Ragnarok with this one going too far into the comedy, and he wants to like have a chance to make up for that in the next Thor movie, which if that ever comes out, I would love to see that. A more darker tone, serious Thor movie. The Thor that was in Avengers Infinity War that everybody grew to love, and Ragnarok, everybody grew to love, a more serious tone to it. This one completely lost the plot. Now you have him with Gore the God Butcher's daughter, which is like a weird dynamic. I don't know how they're going to go forth with that going forward.
It's going to be a 5-minute scene where he just says, hey, here, go off with Valkyrie. Stay off with her for a few days, and we're never going to see her again.
Right.
So, why did we do it in the first place? In
my opinion, this was the biggest disappointment for how good the expectations could have been going into this movie, to where I got to think, how did this come out? You had everything on a silver platter for it to be a good movie.
I saw a better version of this movie on TikTok as an edit that just showed me like a few Jane Foster scenes of her sadness and the cancer and all that, and it showed me a few Gore the God Butcher where they put it in black and white, the TikTok editor. Oh, so much better. He made the movie better. I gotta find out his name.
It was just such a letdown, in my opinion, for how everything came about. How did this come out?
It's heavy stuff. Like, we got a God Butcher, we got Jane Foster with cancer. She was the most likable she's ever been, and she still sucked. Like, I don't know how they went so deep into the comedy that it made it just null. Like, the whole movie's just nothing.
With a dark tone villain and dark shit going on the underlying parts throughout the movie, how did the movie go comedy? How did it go so comedy?
Everything around it is just sad and dark. I don't get it, bro.
But it's a comedy. How did this?
You got a Marvel movieify it, I guess, dude. Like, I really,
this is by far and away the worst. Yeah,
this is like it just incarnated is Marvelify. Like, you just couldn't help yourself.
Right. But you can go ahead with the next one.
Werewolf by Night, one little 45-minute Halloween special. It's good.
Good.
I think it sets up. I think it could set up cool for monsters going forward if they ever decide to do that. Which I again think we're getting too close to the point where they would ever do that.
Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Good. Again, another little 45. They bring in Kevin Bacon. He gets stolen by Drax and Mantis. It's just a fun little 45. It has like some context that we get to know that Mantis is Peter Quill's actual sister. Just some cool little side stuff.
Mm-hmm. Ant-Man Quantumania.
I'm a defender. It's not a bad movie. It's just not, dude. I get he lost to ants, but those ants have been brewing for 10,000 years, dude.
This is the definition of big problems, fun watch.
Yeah.
The scenes with Jonathan Majors King, phenomenal. Have I Killed You Before in the trailer? I need that. That is what the fuck I'm talking about. But the CGI, the writing for the daughter.
The CGI.
Might have been the worst I've ever seen.
And the deciding not to kill anybody at the end of the movie ruined it.
Now, I will say, when Paul Rudd's Ant-Man gets back, I'm here having the question, I'm like, what if he's not in his own universe? He's starting to feel the weird shit ending the movie. Then I'm just like, you know what? Did they low-key kind of cook with this ending? Low-key. And then
I don't think it was low
sucks.
key, bro. I think it was gonna be so fire.
But then the Jonathan Major shit comes about, and then it's just so tough to where I have to put this in big problems.
We would be looking at this movie in such a different light if none of the Jonathan Major shit happened. Like, this is just gonna be the fall, like the movie that takes the fall for all that, because it's the last thing that came out for it, and like we didn't get answers, and he just gets sucked into a time vortex bullshit. And I get it. I get why people say it's bad, but
right.
Whoever plays Hank Pym, that Michael Douglas puts on a masterclass, bro.
He does.
He's so fucking funny in this movie.
Big problems, fun watch. It hits. I think
like the quantum realm of it all is really cool.
It is.
I think it.
But it's too much CGI.
Yeah, which I get. In the quantum realm, you have to do a lot of CGI, but like there are certain
bad
parts where
CGI.
There's just some things where you could just avoid. There are some things where you could just avoid, and you didn't.
I'm going to go CGI and some of the writing for some of the characters held it back, and nobody having a big impact death in this movie, I think, drew it back.
Which means
the ending was cool for what they could have gone to, for sure.
This movie having no stakes at all when we went into it thinking it had some of the biggest stakes of recent Marvel shit just kind of ruins it. Like, when you go at it with nobody dying, bro, like, there's obviously zero stakes in the movie. That scene, though, that last scene could have gone somewhere, bro.
Yeah. Guardians 3. Listen.
He's right. He's right, Chad. I'm sorry. He's right.
Shoot me. Like, there's no better way to wrap up a trilogy. There's no better way to tuck it in and put it to bed. The emotion, but just how you start the movie. Adam Warlock on complete smoke. You see Peter Quill going through his shit about Gamora. Adam Warlock comes in, sets the tone of the movie. I'm like, this is what I want to see. And then you see that, and then you get to the High Evolutionary, and we're like,
this villain was written for you. High Evolutionary was written for Corey.
I was like, oh my god, he's just bad through and through. He's just bad through and through. And then you get the Rocket origin, like on top of just a great cast with just of the Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody getting their shine like always. But the Rocket, like the deep dive into Rocket's origin in the Higher Evolutionary being just bad through and through. This is what I wanted to see. This is out of this bad stretch that Marvel has been on. Guardians 3 is in GOAT tier for me.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Me too.
It delivers. You get a really, really good send-off. I think the movie, the comedy in this one really does hit still. Adam Warlock changing, a little bit iffy. Only iffy thing I can say about the movie, because he is such a powerful character in the direction they did go in. But you have you left the door open in case you didn't want to go back to the Guardians of the Galaxy. You left the door open for Peter Quill on Earth as Star-Lord now. We've talked about that kind of in the last episode. And what they could do with that.
Another one where I feel like you got to kill somebody, but like...
Yes. And at the hallway fight scene was so gas. The Rocket origin was so gas. The Higher Evolutionary was a villain made for somebody like me who loves the darker tone shit. Who was just...
Even when he lost, he was on fucking smoke. He's like, I don't care.
There is no God, so I stepped in. There is no God, so I stepped in. Some of the hardest shit I've ever heard in my life. Pure smoke. Pure fucking smoke.
I can confirm he's texted me that text probably 3 times as separate occasions since that movie came out.
Like, fire. Everything about the shit, fire. Like, GOAT tier. Shoot me in the comments. This shit is gas. Like, everything delivered in this movie. And then we get on to Nick's most anticipated show of all time, Secret Invasion.
Bro,
Nick giving me multiple texts leading up to the premiere. This shit's gonna be gas. This is it. This gonna be the one. And it just
what did they do?
First episode was good though. First episode was good. Ben
Middleton doesn't deserve this, or whatever his name is. The guy who played the Skrull guy. He didn't deserve this. He goes out, so sorry. Like, there's just so... No, I don't even... It goes in, how did this come out? And, like, everything's bad. Everything's bad. They took the story nowhere. None of it even matters because we don't hear of President Ritson. We don't hear the Skrulls. We don't hear of nothing past this show at all. Nick Fury's married to a fucking Skrull. Everything's bad.
You have Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke. Dude, that last episode. I'm just sitting here laughing because Gravik has a fire conversation with Nick Fury as they're standing at the power thing, and I don't know. Fire talk about he's being used all these years. He felt like Nick Fury was a dad figure to him.
And he wasn't even there.
And then he just changes into Gaia. Wasn't even there. Makes the whole scene mean nothing. And then they both just get every power ever used in the Marvel Universe and fight each other to the death. That's not what we want, Marvel. That's not what we want.
I agree. I agree with everything.
Should have never got my hopes up. Terrible. 0 out of 10.
The Marvels.
Mid. Like, so mid. Like, mid. I could almost go bad.
I think it's bad.
Damn.
I think it's bad.
Yeah,
the villain wasn't shit. The story was all over the place. The post-credit was the coolest thing about the movie. Like, that was really it. The motive behind the villain was just like...
Like, here's the thing. I know, I get the motive behind the villain, just trying to save the Kree, but, like, it all could have been avoided, because at the end of the movie, we just say, oh, wait, Captain Marvel, but you can just fix it by just flying into the sun and getting the sun to be fixed again? Oh, okay, let's just do that. And then they just do it. So we could have just had one I don't know. I'm all for but the movie has to be made. But when it's like, we could have had one conversation and this all could have just been fixed and none of this had to happen. It's like, just come on. I don't know. I just, none of it hit. Kamala Khan, like, you're played by, like, your actress is really good. I just don't care about you, sadly. You just don't got the sauce. Monica Rambeau, you just ain't got the sauce. When Captain Marvel has the most sauce on the screen,
fire post-credit, though.
That's bad.
Fire post-credit.
Like,
if they ever do anything with it.
I honestly wouldn't even say it's a fire post-credit, to be honest. Like, we get the Beast, and we see, like, her mom as a... I don't even know.
Captain Marvel
I've seen
variant.
the X-Men movies. Yeah, and I didn't notice her. I didn't know her at all. So, like, it's just a cool post-credit because it shows where we're going, but, like, got no soul behind it. I don't know.
I
think I've become a hater of this movie.
Now, I think Deadpool is just good. I think it's good.
I don't think it's great.
I don't think it's great. The ending scene ending with just them having to destroy a machine. Fuck that. Them fighting all the Deadpools, cool, understood that. That's fire.
I didn't even like it that much, to be honest. It was just pointless fighting to me.
The best fight scene was before they got out of the void, in my opinion, with Blade.
Oh, yeah. When they
Gambit
came back to... Yeah, that was 100%.
That was the best fight scene. I liked the tone, because this was like a different version that Hugh Jackman has played on Wolverine. This was a big fan service-esque kind of movie with the shit they could do, but it ended up being more of like a send out to the like Fox universe with the X-Men. So there was a very different vibe compared to what people thought we were gonna get. But I thought it was a good send off to the Fox universe. So you had to pay homage because a lot of those movies may have not been the best, but they have some gems in there as well. And I felt like it was a disservice if you didn't go back pay homage to those. Interested to see that we didn't get a little bit more Loki because they were dealing with legit the TVA.
Yeah.
So maybe like we didn't. I'm not saying Loki himself, but I'm saying like maybe you would have got like Owen Wilson. I know his ending in season 2 was different. Maybe he would have saw him. I feel like that would have been a great cameo to make if you were going to make one from the Loki universe. But for some reason, like, it's good, but like it's not
It's not great.
Out of this
it's
world.
Not great. No. I don't know. Like it was, yeah, it's good. It has its moments. It's just like it also has its problems. Like that. I don't know. To me, that Deadpool core fight scene just felt so empty. I didn't feel like I liked it at all, to be honest. Cassandra Nova was like meh.
She was good.
She was good.
But them not fighting her at the end of the movie was whatever.
I liked who she was as a character, and I liked the whole fight. You know, she goes into people's head and shit. But like, what was she gonna do in a fight? I don't know. Like, not much.
The expectations for this movie, I feel like, didn't reach that level.
No. I expected way better.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Deadpool and Wolverine dynamic did work. Did hit.
Yes, it really did work.
Sure, that hit.
I feel like the movie was a little empty.
Hit. Yeah, but like, it's just everything felt like it's just so forced a little bit to me. I didn't like it. Like a lot of like the nice pool stuff felt whatever. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Good, not great though.
Yeah, no.
Agatha, man, surprising.
Yeah,
surprising.
For sure.
Surprising.
Surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. I don't.
Is it good? Did they cook? Did they low key like slightly cook on accident?
I don't. I think it cooked for like the first like 4, but I think it's 6 episodes. I really only liked like the first 4, or maybe no, it was like 8 episodes. I liked like the first 7. I really liked like certain episodes. The one that they did with the tower and like the cards, obviously, like, amazing. Like some of the best television they've done. But like, I didn't really like the ending and the post cred and like where we're going now. Like the Vision Quest stuff just feels like we're just forcing this story at this point. Is that even going to come out?
It doesn't even fit into the timeline that you're going now.
Like at this point, you're gonna have to maybe fit that story in Doomsday or whatever movie that Wanda's going to be in, because I'm assuming I think she's going to come back personally. But I don't know.
I'm gonna go to solid/mid, but there are qualities that could put it in good.
Yes, I think it was a really good witch show. I think they could have delved into more of Agatha's like betrayal, and if we get to know Wiccan, like why didn't we get to like see some of it, or see like some of him doing it? Like you set up these things, like setting up the Tommy or the other boy, but it's like we got so many other things going on.
I think it was so interesting how everything did go about. Like they just kind of took
for sure. It felt like a little bit of like a WandaVision, like, oh, what's coming next? You know, like it felt, you know, you're looking forward to it. That's what the vibe was giving. But like, again, like looking back on it now, it just feels like it just didn't hit as hard as it could have. It just could have gone farther. Like the Aubrey Plaza death could have gone farther. You could have done more with that for sure.
I feel like they wanted to pull the trigger, but we're setting up other shit to where if they just pulled the trigger, this show could have been really good.
Yeah.
But now, Brave New World. We have the whole landscape right here. I'm gonna go good.
I go solid to
go
mid,
good.
I'm okay with good. I think the next time we do a video like this, it will be lower than whatever it is in this video. I don't think this movie is going to age well. Is what I'm saying.
I'm gonna go good, because there's nothing that I got out of Deadpool from a movie's perspective that Brave New World didn't give me. I think just as empty as Brave New World could have felt for a lot of fans that had gave it a lot of criticism, I could say the same fucking argument for Deadpool and Wolverine. The movie is a lot of emptiness in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a lot of cool-ish cameos where they didn't pull the trigger on some of the really, really cool ones they could have done, and the ending fell flat. But in Brave New World, I think there are better just overall dynamics in the movie.
I disagree.
I think Isaiah Bradley's character...
there's just more dynamics. Like, there's just like...
Yes.
Like, in Deadpool and Wolverine, it's just like...
Cameo here,
gotta
cameo.
Get back.
Yes.
Obviously, we just have cameos, but like, the only real dynamic we have is just Deadpool and Wolverine. There's so many things happening in Brave New World. So many moving pieces. that I
No,
can see how it
neither
works.
one of these movies have an argument for great, in my opinion.
No
But I
chance.
think Brave New World had. I just think the dynamic between Sam Wilson, Falcon, Isaiah Bradley was so good.
That's only like a third of the movie, though.
But like them, the ending is better. Fighting Red Hulk is better than them destroying a machine in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's just better. It just makes sense for the ending.
I don't agree. Just because, bro, they put on that whatever that song was, and it hit it. I'm sorry, it hits harder than like his vibranium wing exploding, and then we just catches a cherry blossom. I disagree with you completely. I will never be a fan of the just talking Hulk down. I understand that's what you have to do with Sam Wilson because Sam Wilson can't beat Hulk, but that does not hit. That is just as not hitting as like destroying a machine to me, honestly.
I see
like
both
at least
sides.
there I got some like
It's just...
cinematic. I'm at least seeing some cinematics and shit like Hulk. My daughter Betty.
Yeah.
I miss her. Like, bro. I think they could. They're definitely on the same tier. They're lifeless in different ways. I think I just get more from Deadpool and Wolverine because I'm more of like I'm getting some comedy out of it. Like Brave New World is actually not funny at all. I think Brave New World has no funniness to it, and I think it's just. But
I'm also somebody.
Like, I get what you're saying.
I'm also somebody who, the second I saw the first trailer for Brave New World, I got in that chat and I said Brave New World, and it was my prediction, would be better or on the same level as Deadpool Wolverine. And I feel like it is. I'd
put it solid to mid, but like I get what you're saying. It's not like, and if it's not on the same tier, it's very close behind it.
We'll go here. And we'll go back to this once Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four come out. But I genuinely think these two movies are like if it's Deadpool's better, it's by like a hair or a smidge, because it does have a more rewatchability, I feel like, than Brave New World will.
100% more watchability.
But I just feel like Deadpool, maybe the expectations and the talk around this movie when it came out were just so grand.
There's also the stakes are higher.
The stakes were just so...
in ways.
Like, I think you said it perfectly. They're both lifeless in their own ways.
Yeah.
They both have kind of the similar problems, but they're both lifeless in their kind of own ways, which is interesting.
Yeah. Exactly.
But this is what we have for our Marvel tier list. The GOATs, the great, the good, solid and mid, big problems but fun watch, bad, and then how did this come out? We're going to post this tier list on our Twitter. Were you going to make a change?
What if season 3 and how did this come out? Because how did it come out?
Okay. I'm fine with that. So, we'll be posting this on our Twitter at Barrel Talk Pod, but this is going to be our tiers.
Let us know your biggest
in the comments some hot takes, some disagreements with this list. But you want to wrap it up there?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning into the Barrel Talk Podcast. Obviously, tune in to future episodes.